Hi there, it's Nicole here today with some alcohol inked backgrounds and vellum shadow die cuts using some of the new January 2018 release products from Reverse Confetti. These are very clean and simple cards, but have a lot of beautiful wow factor with these gorgeous alcohol inked backgrounds and then some simple layering with the vellum and the white die cuts. The vellum acts as a gorgeous little shadow that really kind of helps set that Falling Hearts panel apart from the background. I have trimmed down one of the felt little pads here for the round ink blending tool. I like the round ones better than the square ones. In fact, I don't have any of the square ones anymore. So I just trimmed it to a circle shape, and I am applying Flamingo, Raspberry, and Red Pepper alcohol inks to my felt pad, and then simply adding some of the alcohol blending solution. And on this YUPO paper, I am simply creating stripes back and forth. Now, where maybe I had a little too much alcohol blending solution on my felt pad, it kind of beads up near the edge. So I'm just going back over this all in this kind of diagonal direction. I don't want to go back and forth because I really want to keep the stripe background for this first paper. Now, instead of starting with a whole new felt pad, I decided to use up what I had, and I took another piece of paper, and I'm only going to ink up about half of this sheet. That way I can save the whatever's left for another project. But I did have to add some more alcohol blending solution to my felt pad just to get the ink moving a little more. This is more of a pouncing effect, and you can kind of see all those little dots and things and all of the movement of the ink. This, I only wanted it big enough to fit back behind the Falling Hearts panel. I'm going to go ahead and set that one aside as well. And for my final background, this is going to be more of just a simple marbling type background, I guess I want to say, without actually doing marbling. This is just adding drops of ink all over. I really didn't have a plan. I just kind of started playing, again, using those same three ink colors, Raspberry, Flamingo, and Red Pepper. It was easy to pick these. I created swatches of the alcohol inks I had, so it was kind of easy to pick what I thought would look nice together for Valentine's or love-themed cards. Then I just started adding alcohol blending solution, and I really this wasn't what I wanted for my background. But something that I really do love is tipping the paper once it's pretty saturated with the alcohol blending solution and watching those colors run. So I'm tipping it up, and I'm just going to kind of let those all run down to the bottom of the sheet. Then if I'm still not happy with it, which I wasn't, I really kind of worked and worked, I added more blending solution. And I'm just letting it run off, kind of run down the page. And probably at this point, you can see those little strips or stripes. I really wanted it to be a little bit more blended than that. So I added first more blending solution, and then I went ahead and added a few additional drops of ink here and there. And I'm going to let this run down the paper, and you can see without blending solution, it's really not going to run like I want it to. So I added blending solution to that. I'm going to tip it, and I'm going to keep doing this until I get the background the way I want it to look. It's looking a lot better. I think maybe a little too much red. I want to pull in a little bit more pink. And remember that this is going to be trimmed down, so I'm not too worried about the edges that maybe don't look as nice. That way it gives me somewhere to hold on to it, kind of keep my fingers out of it, which I'm prone to kind of getting my fingers in it and making a mess. So there, it's looking a lot more the way I want it to look. That's great. I'm going to set that aside, clean up my surface here with some Stays-On Remover. Rubbing alcohol will work to clean that up. And then I have trimmed down my backgrounds already. They are all 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches, which is the same size as this Reverse Confetti Falling Hearts panel. I did die cut off screen the Falling Hearts panel and from white cardstock and from Vellum. I really found the best way to kind of do this overlap or shadow type effect is with 1/8 inch score tape. I love my 1/8 inch score tape. I use it for everything. It is fantastic for these thin little borders here that really can kind of be tricky. I did not want to use liquid adhesive. If at all possible, I usually tend to try not to for adhering paper, simply because a lot of times it'll buckle, and I really wanted to stay away from that with this particular design. So around all the edges, I've applied the 1/4 score tape, or 1/8 inch score tape, pardon me. And I'm going to remove the backing paper, take my vellum, and I'm going to slightly offset it. Can you see it? Kind of, I've just from that bottom left corner, I've offset it, which creates this awesome little shadow. I originally thought I would try the shadow with a dark gray cardstock, and I felt like it took away from the effect of the card. I really wanted it to be bright without any dark colors at all, very much keeping everything white with these beautiful pinks and reds in the background. I'm going to put the 1/8 inch score tape on the back of this again, and just try to grab all these little edges here and pull that all off. And then we want to back this with one of the backgrounds. And all three of these are designed exactly the same. I really think it's easier to flip those frames over, or the panel over, and back it with the alcohol inked background, so you can make sure and line it up perfectly. Flip that over and look how pretty that is. So I did that for all three cards. Now I did attempt to try to use the heart-filled sentiments and stamped them with Versamark and heat set with gold embossing powder. And again, I felt like it took away from the design of the card. So I switched that up and did white instead. I stamped them on vellum with Versamark, heat embossed with white embossing powder, and we're going to make vellum card wraps. If I have enough vellum, a while back I didn't, and someone asked me why I glued it in place and didn't wrap it around the card. It was because I was out and I was just using up what I had. But when I have vellum, my vellum order came. If it's long enough, I really prefer to do a vellum wrap. That way you keep the adhesive on the back of the card, the panel, whatever it might be, and it's hidden and the whole front part is loose, which is fantastic because you never see any adhesive. So I'm just wrapping that around. You can see that's nice and loose. You can see through the vellum, but I think that white just really looks beautiful with the white frame and that really pretty pink and red background. I'm going to center each of these on a white top fold card base, score them with a Teflon bone folder. And it's beautiful as is, but I love to add a little sparkle here and there. So using some Ranger Multi-Matte Medium with a Scrap Perfect nozzle. I know I've been getting lots of questions about that lately. That Scrap Perfect nozzle is linked in the supplies. It is by far my favorite fine tip nozzle I've used, and I've tried several. This one, I simply take off the old bottle and put on the new when I get a new one. I used to have to buy a new nozzle because they'd get clogged. This one is amazing. I use it for everything. I have one on my Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, Glossy Accents, and also Nuvo Crystal Drops. I use it on all of my products like that because I just love the fine tip applicator. I'm using a jewel picker to pick up these honeybee stamps, Moonlight Rhinestones. They kind of have an iridescent feel to them. I, again, was very much wanting to not take away from the design of the card. You'll notice this is the gold embossing vellum wrap, greeting wrap. I did switch that out. So in the finished card projects, you'll notice it's the white embossing instead. But I wanted to keep in that how I adhered all of these beautiful little gems. They add a lot to the design. I think they really go nicely with the romantic Valentine's love feel of these cards. Adding little tiny dabs of glue down the center of some of them. I just added them in different ways for all three cards. Just whatever I kind of felt like at the moment. But I feel like these Moonlight Rhinestones pick up whatever color you put them on. and they're really beautiful. I like this. Sequins would look cute if you have, if you don't have rhinestones, maybe you have some glitter Nouveau crystal drops or any of the crystal drops. You could even maybe do some pink and red. I think that would be kind of cute. There's lots of ways to adorn the hearts. So much fun. I think even small heart die cuts on top of some of these would be really cute. So I'm going to finish doing this for the rest of my hearts. A jewel picker is just really, for me, it's almost a necessity so I can keep my fingers out of the glue. With these teeny tiny little rhinestones, sequins, gems, whatever it might be, I think it's just so much easier to use either a quick stick tool or a jewel picker to adhere them and get them where you want them to go. So I'm going to just switch out that greeting, and my cards featuring some alcohol inked backgrounds and then some vellum shadow die cutting are all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this trio of cards featuring new dies and stamps from Reverse Confetti. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.